Hello and welcome to Free Immigration Support YouTube channel. In this video, I wanted to show you how to apply for a green card. But before we begin, let me mention that I'm not an immigration attorney and this channel and all the videos on it are in no way any legal advice or somehow comparable to being a legal advice. Now, I never advise against using an attorney. If you want to, you can definitely do. Immigration attorneys, they do provide help whenever it comes to applying for a green card, applying for many other things that were mentioned on this channel. But at the same time, this is something that if you can follow instructions, if you can understand English language, if you can read the instruction, if you can follow them to the T, because it's very important, in a timely manner, submit all of the documents, keep all of those receipts, keep all of the information that most likely will be necessary in the future. If you can do all of these things, then this is something you can do yourself and potentially save a lot of money. And not only that, I always say if you want to do something right, you do it yourself. Obviously, if you really do it yourself and really pay attention to everything and take care of everything, it will be better than anybody else would do it for you. Okay, so let's start with our application for green card. The website, of course, that you need, as always, for all your immigration purposes is uscis.gov, and the link I'll put in the description below is because you cannot see it here on the screen. So the very first thing you want to do is you go to Forms, and you will see the very second one is I-485, apply for a green card, and this is the one that you need. So let's click on that, and you will see this page. And while I'm giving you a brief description of what's going on here and there, you will be able to take a look here. So as you would imagine, there are many different criteria whenever it comes to applying for a green card. You can apply for a green card based on marriage, based on employment, based on asylum or refugee status. There are a lot of different criteria. So I can't really cover all of them in this video, but I wanted to mention that most of them are very, very similar. The only things that will be different are the times that you wait for your green card before you can apply for a green card. For example, right now, as far as I remember, if nothing changed, for marriage, for example, to apply for a green card based on marriage, I believe it was 3 years, and to apply for a green card based on asylum, it was 5 years. Actually, no, I'm wrong here. It's for the citizenship that I'm talking about, 5 years and 3 years. For green card, I believe it's even less. Uh, but all of this information you can actually find here in the instructions of where and when you can file. So this is the first thing that we're gonna do. We're gonna download this instructions for Form I-485. So let's click here, let's download it and open it up, because this is the main thing that we're gonna go off with. All right, so I'm not gonna go over all of it and just go in all of the details. So I definitely recommend you to read through all of it by yourself, because some things they just might be more relevant to you, some things they might be more relevant to other people. In this video, I'm going to talk about a specific example, applying for green card based on being an asylee. So to show you an example of finding that information for specific cases whenever it comes to applying for green card, I scrolled down all the way to page 31, and I actually found the asylum status. And that's the example that we're filing under, our green card here. And you can see actually here it explains of when you can find, and you have to be physically present in the United States for 1 year. And that answers our question of how much time you need to wait. So for asylum status, it's 1 year, and then for marriage, I think it has to be less. I believe it's 6 months or maybe even less. But nevertheless, if you want to verify that information, like I said, this is where you find the answers in these instructions here. So, whenever it comes to filling out the application itself, like I said, just read the whole instructions first. But make sure to follow, standard procedure. Use the black ink in order to fill it out. Um, let's actually open up the application itself. And sometimes some of the applications, they allow you to fill it in, like right here, for example. You see, you can actually fill it in on the computer. Uh, so let's say, uh, John. So all of this information here, you can actually type in on the computer, which is much better idea. Do that instead of filling out everything by hand. And then whenever it comes to the signature page, that of course here you cannot obviously fill it in. You need to print it out with everything already filled in and then sign it yourself. So it's better to do it that way because obviously there will not be any confusion for the immigration officer, whoever is reviewing your application. Definitely better thing to do than writing, because everybody has different handwriting and you don't want to create any confusion and potentially have immigration officer make any mistakes. But if you're doing it that way, just please don't forget to sign and fill in the places where you cannot type in on the computer, because I've seen people do that mistake. It's very important. Okay, so this is the application itself. Obviously, you can start filling it up as you go. Uh, Here you can find on the page 6. Currently it's page 6, but they always update it. So it might not be. It may be a different page as of today for you, for example. But just follow these instructions and fill up your form. Now, if you might have any questions whenever it comes to filling out this form, it's really pretty straightforward. I can go over your names, other names you have used before, if you ever used, your date of birth, sex, city and town of birth, information about you, country of birth, country of citizenship. Obviously, it's going to be your current citizenship status, your alien registration number, which can be found on your employment authorization document, USS online account number, if you have it, social security, if you have it, US mailing address, make sure it's the current one, make sure it matches your identification, alternate safe mailing address. For example, if your current mailing address is not exactly permanent or you think you might move, you can provide here someone who is, more established here in this country and they have a permanent address. You can, just in case, because these documents are very important. You want to keep the receipts, and obviously, if you are ever approved for a green card, you want to receive your card, make sure that you could receive it, and not worry about them sending it somewhere else. Recent immigration history, if you traveled somewhere outside of the country, which honestly is not recommended. Just saying, if you're an asylum status for a whole year, try to be present in the country and not leave the country at all. That's just my personal recommendation from the experience that I've seen with people having problems leaving the country. Just a side note. Okay, so then the information about you, what is your current immigration status? If it's asylum, you should specify asylum. If it's a certain visa type, work visa, again, you can specify it here. And then this is the important, the part 2 is the application type, filing category. Basically, under which category are you filing? So, Form I-130, for example, is a family-based green card, and this is going to be an immediate relative of U.S. citizen. For example, if you're a husband or wife of U.S. citizen, this is the category. These are all family-based categories. And then there's an employment-based, special immigrant based, and then our asylum refugee, which is what we are applying under, and this is what we would select here. But as you can see, all of them are here. Just make sure you compare them with the instructions, just to be on the safe side. Always double check application with the instructions. Uh, all right, so here now, after obviously you select whatever, if it's asylum, if it's family based, if it's employment based, whichever you select. In our case, it's asylum status. Here we put in all of the information related to that status. Now here obviously is going to be the receipt number of underlying petition. You know, if you have the receipt number from your you know, from you being granted the asylum status, this is where you're gonna put it. And then obviously the date, again, all the information, all the mailing information. Then there is some additional information about you, address history. Honestly, so far, I think this is one of the bigger applications that I have done whenever it comes to the immigration status. So there's a lot of information about you, your, you know, your spouse, your children. Then there's some biographic information, you know, height, weight, eye color, hair color, general eligibility and inadmissibility grounds is basically where they're asking you questions of whether or not you might be inadmissible to receive the green card. And some inadmissibility cases can be cases like committing a crime, you know, having a felony and stuff like that. So you will see them here. Have you ever been denied admission to the United States? Have you ever been denied visa to the United States? Have you ever worked in the United States without authorization? Obviously, hopefully, all of these answers are gonna be no for you. If any of these answers are yes in your case, then I recommend you getting a lawyer, because you might have to file some inadmissibility waivers in order to waive that inadmissibility status, because you know you don't want to be denied and go through a lot of trouble, which you know you probably will be if you violated the terms or conditions of your non-immigrant status. Not good. If you had deportation or removal, not good. If you had felonies or something like that, definitely not good. So you know, just keep that in mind. uh Same thing goes with the security related. Hopefully all of the answers are no for you. um in case if you're wondering, obviously should be going without me saying, but definitely no lying on this application, because you know immigration, you know, USCIS, they have all the records and they have access. They do the background check, so they will see all of that information about you. And then that's it. We come to the end of the application here. There's just a signature, date, some additional things if you use the interpreter in order to complete this application. Just keep that in mind. And if you want to have the interpreter, you know, used for interview, this is where you will all fill it out. So now we're done with the application. If you have any questions, you can let me know in the comments below. But let's get back to the instructions, because there are some very important things that we need to talk about here. So I think this is the most important part of the actual application for green card. This is the evidence part, basically what you need to provide to send in with your application, you know, the whole document package. And green card application is unique in that sort of way, unlike many others. Um, I would say probably the most thorough in a way. You'll see why. But as you can see here in the instructions, this is the page. It starts at the page 8. What evidence must you submit with your form I-485 for permanent residence, adjustment of status. And you'll see standard photographs, which is 2 recent, identical, obviously color passport style photos, 2 by 2 inches, which you can, get in CVS or Walgreens. They do those. Obviously, government issued identity document with photograph. That can be a copy of your passport. Can be, your copy of your driver's license, birth certificate. Of course, definitely copies of birth certificate. Um, if your birth certificate is in different language, which most likely is, and if it doesn't have English, because in some countries they actually have a standard now. They do um, a page with English translation already. So if you don't have that, make sure that you provide the translation of your birth certificate as well. Make sure that it is certified translation, meaning that someone who speaks both your, birth certificate language, whatever it is. Let's say it's, for example, Spanish, and they speak Spanish and they speak English, and then they sign in front of the notary saying that, yes, I certify that it is true translation from Spanish to English, and then the notary notarizes their signature, and that you have a notarized certified translation of the birth certificate. Doesn't have to be a professional translator or anybody, just anybody who speaks that language, who is fluent in it, both English and that language. So, birth certificate, obviously. Now, the next one is the inspection or an admission, or inspection and parole. This is very specific. Not a lot of situations. Not a lot of people have that. So if you do, just make sure to go through these instructions. Documentation of your immigration category. This is the important one. We all have certain things that we apply based on. In our case, this is the asylum. So obviously, for the evidence number 5, to prove our asylum status, we need to provide something that shows it. So that would be a copy of, before it was the small white card that they would give you in the airport, and that's where they would stamp that asylum seal. Now it might be different, so it really depends. But whatever shows your asylum status, or for this video, really whatever status you might be applying for green card based on, this is what you need to show, the copies of those documents. Next one is the marriage certificate or other proof of relationship, if you're married, if you are applying with a spouse, or if you're applying based on family relationship. If you're applying for a green card based on that, of course they would need to do that. Evidence of continuously maintaining a lawful status since arrival in the United States. Now, this one is, if you're applying for a green card, obviously, like I said, you have to continuously maintain a lawful status. And basically what that means is that you're providing the proof that you were in a lawful status since the arrival into the United States all this time. So if you can see the examples, it can be the Form I-797, the approval notices, if you had an extension for a visa, for example. I-94 is that little white card that I was talking about, is that arrival departure record. It shows basically the stamps in the airport. And this is actually where they used to stamp the asylum seal. I'm not sure if they do that still, but this is where they used to put that. Form I-20 is if you were a student here. And then, of course, there's a passport page that shows, obviously, all of the stamps, again, that they put in the airport. This would be the example to show that you were lawfully here in the United States. Now, the affidavit of support, confirmation of bona fide, job offer, request for job portability, obviously, as you would understand, that comes whenever you are filing for your green card based on family. Whenever you're filing based on family, as you can see, there's a relative visa petition, which is I-130, as I've mentioned. And of course the employment-based visa, because in both situations we have someone supporting another one. In one case you have a spouse which is supporting your status, and then in another situation we have an employer who wants to support your status and who wants to have you as a permanent resident working for them. So obviously this is the stuff that you would need in those situations. But in our case, we are applying as an asylee, so obviously we're not going to have any of that. Evidence of financial support, again, is the same thing. You must demonstrate that you are not likely to become a public charge. You must show that you will be able to financially support yourself. So you provide here, if you are based on on a family. Again, this is where the form I-130 comes in. And I'll probably do a separate video on form I-130 because this is a very important form, as you can see, for a green card whenever you're filing based on family relationship. And of course, form I-140 is related to the employment situations. So again, this is where it will come into play. But if you don't have any of that, if you're not filing based on any of that, I would recommend just providing, basically your financial status as, the bank statements, your pay stubs and stuff like that, just to show that you are financially stable in the country, that you have a job, and that you will not be a liability for a country to pay for you, to, to support you, and be basically becoming a public charge. This is what they call it. Okay, so now that we're done with that, I think this is the most important part, number 10. This is the unique evidence that I was talking about whenever it comes to applying for a green card, because I don't think there's anything else that requires that except green card. So number 10, report of medical examination and vaccination record. This is very important. This is one of the very first things that you need to start concentrating on as soon as you start preparing your application for green card, because I'll explain you what that basically entails. Basically, you are finding a doctor, a local doctor, who knows about this specific medical examination, because it's very specific medical examination. It's not just any regular medical examination. It is a special medical examination that is done specifically for green cards. So the doctor, they should be familiar with this procedure of what needs to be done. The doctor, they conduct that medical examination. They perform all the vaccinations that are required. If you don't have them already, if you do, then you should have a vaccination record, if you can get that, hopefully. If not, then you would have to do them. Then the doctor fills out the special form, seals it, and then gives it to you, and you cannot open it. And that envelope, that sealed envelope, sealed by the doctor, you attach with the whole document package, and then you send it to USCIS. So as you can see, it is a pretty delicate procedure. You have to find a doctor, you have to go, you have to perform all of this medical exams and vaccinations, and then you sign that form, and then the doctor himself or herself seals it for you, and then gives you the sealed envelope, and then you attach it. This is the number 10 evidence. You attach it to your whole document package. So before we move further, I wanted to mention, because you need, like I said, you need a special doctor who knows what he or she is doing. So how do you find that doctor? If you go back to the uscis.gov, and let's go back, uscis.gov. Now, in tools, right here, you will see find a doctor. Let's click on that. And find a doctor who will perform they have to be, like I said, they have to be a special authorized doctor. And then here you can find on this page what exactly you need to bring to your exam, because you have to bring stuff during the examination, what will happen, and then reporting a problem if there's a problem. So what to bring to the exam? Form I-693, you will have to bring it, print it out, and bring it. Now, Form I-693, like I said, you're not going to be filling it up. You're not going to be doing anything with it. The doctor basically will be filling it up themselves. Not the whole form, just a part of it. Basically, they will, this is the civil surgeon worksheet, as you can see. Whatever they find, all their findings, they will note in this form. So, basically, my recommendation to you here is don't fill anything up. Print it out and bring it with you to the your doctor appointment. Don't fill anything up, because the doctor might have you fill up some basic information about you, or they might fill it up themselves and then seal it and give it to you. It depends, but make sure the form is blank, just to be on the safe side. Obviously, government issued photo identification, vaccination or immunization record. Like I said, if you have that, good, because you will have much less vaccinations to take. If you can show that you already did them when you were a child or whatever. Medical insurance card, if you have that, and then of course the payment. Now, payment, I cannot tell you how much it's going to be. I have seen doctors charge anywhere from $200 for the whole exam and all the examination vaccinations, and I have seen doctors charge $1,500. So it's really who you can find in your area. So let's try to find someone, for example, nearby my area, 33905. That's the zip code. I don't know why this has came up. Can I just search by zip code? Let's see. Yep, 33905, Fort Myers, Florida. So we have, looks like, plenty of options. We have Dr. Francisco Vasquez, Millennium Physical Group, Sunshine Medical, Bonnet Medical Center. So my recommendation to you is call all of them. Call all of them, ask how much they charge for it, for the medical examination, for the green card. Like I said, since they are authorized doctors, they know what it is exactly that you need. So they're not going to have any questions about it. And then make your judgment based on that. Like I said, in my experience, it goes anywhere from $200 to $1,500 and, probably beyond. You never know. Okay, so this is really it with the that medical examination. Just to let you know, that medical examination usually takes 2 days. On the first day, doctor performs the medical examination, which involves a few tests, and then he or she does a few vaccines, and then on the second day, he or she does the rest of the vaccines, and basically you're done. And then you get your sealed envelope from them, and that's it. You have that sorted out. Okay, done with that. Done with the number 10. Number 11 is certified police and court records of criminal charges. If you have any criminal charges, arrests, or convictions, hopefully you don't. Number 12, like I said, is a waiver of inadmissibility. Again, if you do need the waiver of inadmissibility, you probably should be working with an attorney, because this is where things get a little bit more delicate. Now, number 13 is documentation regarding J1, J2. This is very specific, as you can see. That's if you are an exchange visitor. And then number 14 is a waiver of diplomatic rights, which, again, is very, very specific. All right, when you're done with all of your evidence, when it's all ready in place, one of the last things that is left to do is, of course, the filing fee. And currently, as of today, the filing fee is $1,140, which kind of went up since the last time I checked. Now, you can find that information on the page 14 of the instructions for the form I-485. So make sure to definitely check it out. It's very important. But that's not it. There's also a biometrics fee that you would need to attach. And I do get questions whether or not you can combine the two. I don't recommend combining the two, just in case. just to be on the safe side, if you're paying with check, make a separate check for the amount of $1,140. Make a separate check for the amount of $85. Don't combine them together. And the same thing if you're paying with a a money order. Do the same exact thing. All right. So once we're done with all of that, the next thing to do is, of course, to send all of that stuff that we have to the USAS for their consideration. Now, where do we send that? You will find the phone number here for the National Customer Service Center for USAS. You can definitely call them and ask them the address. Again, depending on where you live, the address where you will be filing all of your documents, all of the package, it can be different. But you can also find that information here on that very first page that we started on for I-485, application to register permanent residence. And here you will see the drop down for where to file. And here there's a link, direct filing addresses. So let's go there and actually try to find an address specifically for our purpose. Okay, so now let's see if you're filing because you are. So here looks like we are not actually filing. If you're filing based on pending approval form I-360, that's not for us because remember we are asylum status. Spouse, parent unmarried, beneficiary of unapproved. That's not us. Okay, here we go. So we are filing our green card in this example as asylee. So here we go, asylum status. If you're filing based on asylum status, that's what we do. So if you live in Alaska, Arizona, California, Colorado, blah, 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 all of the states, you file it here to Phoenix lockbox. Now, if you live in any of these states, Florida, which is let's take it as our example, Florida, since we've been looking for a doctor in Florida, you file it to Dallas lockbox. So here we go. This is the answer. These are the two addresses. But why there are two addresses? Very important. Very, very important. I've seen a lot of people do that mistake. If you're sending your package with USPS, which is U.S. Postal Service, make sure that you send it to this P.O. box right here. If you are sending with FedEx, UPS, DHL, or even USPS with, like a delivery confirmation or express, send it here. Honestly, I recommend always to send with a regular USPS, with a regular priority envelope that does not require signature. Make sure that it does not require signature, because if it does, obviously that's a P.O. box. There's nobody will be there to obviously sign anything. So make sure that you keep that in mind, because I've seen people send it here and then they get it back, and then they waste 2 weeks of time back and forth. So that's it. That's really it. Like I said, if you have any questions, you can definitely let me know here in the comments below. And if I can help you in any way, if I can answer them, I can definitely do. If this video was helpful, make sure to subscribe. This is how I know that I am actually being helpful. If there is anything else that you want to know, and if you want to see a video in any particular, topic, immigration topic, definitely let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video.